Always running back up the stairs with beers because I'm late. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 64 of Brews Less Traveled, the podcast exploring the best uncharted craft beer cities across the U.S. Already messed up that word. Hey there, I'm Brian. I'm your host, and I'm welcoming back my supposed co-host for this month, Isaac Bowell. Isaac, rave reviews in for Laura taking your place last week. Thoughts on coming back to the show?
Well, happy to be stateside. Excited to come back and hopefully earn my rank for the month of August. I've got big shoes to fill. Laura's pretty awesome.
Yes, she is indeed. How you doing? How was Canada?
It was absolutely amazing. I have a nickname when I go through any kind of borders or TSA. It's usually random baggage check. I always have some sort of issue getting across and back in, but it's so cool to go back and visit my family for two reasons. One is it's like the grocery stores just change immediately after you get across the border of the US into anywhere else. So actually I have props. Canada has what are called crunchy bars. I'm not a sweet tooth at all, but these are absolutely delicious. So of course I have a pack of these that I brought back. And then most people find these absolutely disgusting, but I have ketchup chips, which are a big thing that Lay's does. If you haven't had them, I think they're absolutely delicious. And then
you go ketchup chips over all dressed?
I go ketchup chips over all dressed, 100%.
Canadian chip reference there.
That's right. And then there's it's so cool. There's 10 breweries that have popped up over the past 5 years, and of course you can throw a stone and hit all 10 of them, from one central location. And my family's so cute. They're telling me about them. They're like, they've got beautiful Edison strung light bulbs all over and reclaimed pallets, and you can bring your kids and your dogs.
And the menu's a chalkboard.
Right. Yeah, it's very fun.
Well, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Great to have you back.
Good to be back.
Well, since you're not going to ask me, I'm also doing well.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm being very rude. I'm actually doing an ultimate power move over here, and I'm slow pouring our first beer.
What?
I know. I'm sorry. We should have talked about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, fine then. Isaac, did you know in Boise they drop a giant potato to celebrate New Year's Eve?
I did not, but it sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing. And yeah, I learned that from our awesome beer club inclusion materials like this. So be sure to check out the beer club at brewvana.com. Potato facts aside, we've got an episode to get to here. We continue to make our way through the wonderful city of Boise, Idaho, the city of trees, breweries, and tonight, Lonesome Larry's. We're featuring two beers from Sockeye Brewing Company, named after the iconic Sockeye salmon. And of course, we're going to be enjoying two of their great beers. Like I said, their Lonesome Larry American Lager, as well as the Angel's Perch Amber Ale. We're also going to be joined by a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. And since we've got two great beers to enjoy from Sockeye, we should probably bring on our guest. Please join me in welcoming the marketing director at Sockeye, Tyson Cardon.
There we go.
Oh my
Hello,
God,
guys.
that background.
All right.
All right. Hey, Tyson.
I come with salmon facts.
For the listeners at home, Tyson's background says Idaho salmon swim at 900 miles just to spawn and die.
And that's a fact. You can look it up.
Well, since Isaac is already ahead of me, let's get started with our first beer. Tyson, what can you tell us about Lonesome Larry?
So Lonesome Larry is just a nice, clean, easy drinking lager. It's actually technically a Munich style Helles lager. Oh, yeah. So nice, light, easy. You're going to get a little bit of that. There's some Munich malt or the Idaho Pilsner. So it's Idaho grown Pilsner, not German grown Pilsner, you'll get a little bit of a different characteristic from that, a little less of the earthiness that you get from some of the German characteristic Idaho Pilsners. We use German tradition hops. So you just a very like slightly spicy, not super spicy, not like a Czech Saaz or anything like that, but a nice, well-rounded German hop. And this is a year-round offering for us. We're making a big push on this. You know, nationwide, Idaho is a lot like the rest of the nation in that light lagers are making a little bit of a comeback. And we're pretty proud of this. This light lager comes in at 5%, 21 IBUs. Just like I said, it's kind of the patio pounder, for lack of a better term. Just drink a few during the day.
I like that.
Yeah, loving this beer. This is patio pounder is absolutely. I'm stealing that term. That's great.
Yes.
How many names can you come up with for lawnmower beers?
Lawnmower lager, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I heard there's an interesting story behind the name Lonesome Larry as well.
Yes. So Lonesome Larry, a lot of people like the name just for the name, but there's actually a little bit of a story. It's actually on the side of the can. That 900-mile journey I joke about with the Idaho salmon swimming 900 miles just to spawn and die, give or take 1992, 1993, here in Redfish Lake, Idaho. So it's about a 3-4 hour drive from where we're at. But Redfish Lake is the longest trek a sockeye salmon can make to spawn and essentially repopulate their species. Because after they spawn, they die. They literally, like, they're old, they're decrepit, they've spent their time out in the ocean. They came back to freshwater, and that's the end of it. Back in 1992, 1993, Lonesome Larry, he was dubbed, was the last salmon to make it all the way up naturally from the ocean, all the way up that 900-mile river trek to Redfish Lake, and essentially spawn and saved his species. So that year, he was kind of the savior of the species. So they had actually captured him and bred sockeye salmon. So without him, I don't know if even Sockeye Brewing would be around, because sockeye salmon in Idaho may not even exist. He was kind of the pioneer that saved the species.
Wow.
The savior salmon.
Yeah, literally saved her salmon. So I make light of it as the marketing guy. I love this. They swim 900 miles to spawn and die, but that literally is what it is, and that's Lonesome Larry's story. It's just a cool little connection. We give a lot of money back to the community and to Idaho salmon conservation. So we're in the business of giving back a lot, and that's that tie in with this beer and how much money we donate back to salmon conservation with this beer it's important to us. And you know, it's a reason when I started at Sockeye that I felt like I was home. Like I want to work for a company like that.
That's awesome.
I can definitely also taste that sort of like different malt characteristic that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's very cool to sort of like taste the Idaho there.
Absolutely. That Idaho Pilsner is super interesting, because if I'm sure you're familiar, everyone here, with German style Pilsners. You get a little more of like a slightly different characteristic with the malt than you do with an Idaho Pilsner malt.
Yeah. Fantastic. So Sockeye has celebrated 25 years of operating. Right. And that was in 2021. Yep. Which is a huge milestone for any brewery. What's it been like to be in business for that long as a craft brewery in Boise?
You know, I'm only 33, so they were 8 years old when I was born, or
wow.
when they had started. So
right.
For me, getting to work with it, I got in this industry. I actually opened a brewery locally. Beer was something I wanted to get into. So landing at a place like Sockeye that has the history and kind of that background of, you know, years and years of crafting beers. For a long time, it was, you know, just for our pub or just for a couple local establishments. From there, growing to one of the largest in Idaho, and the largest distributing Idaho brewery. So we sell more Idaho beer in Idaho than any other Idaho brewery. I don't know if that wording makes a lot of sense, but to work for a company like this, it's a pleasure, because all that history, especially as the marketing guy, I kind of have the totem. I have the Olympic flame that is mine to carry, and it's very exciting. There's a lot of respect that comes with, you know, 25 years. I think we've done a lot of really cool stuff in the last even 10 years, but 25 is wild.
There's a lot of meat on the marketing bones.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
You know, and last year, not to go on a tangent, but last year we actually were able to rebrand the company. So, you know, we had the same logo, same stuff for 24 years. So going into our 25th year, it was an opportunity as a marketing guy to rebrand and kind of establish a new logo and a new presence for the next 25 years. So that was a lot of fun.
This isn't on my list of questions to ask you, so this is a little bit of a curveball. But when Sockeye was opening up, what was 8-year-old Tyson like? What did you want to be?
Oh shoot,
Wonderful
so 8-year-old Tyson, out of 96. That was the year. So I grew up in Southern Utah. I was a big Utah Jazz fan, and
All
Michael
right.
Jordan just killed my dreams of the Utah Jazz ever winning an NBA Finals.
my
So I think
God,
that was
Blue
give or
Line.
take where we were at.
All right, excellent. I remember that moment in time.
Around the horn, Isaac. What was 8-year-old Isaac wanting to do?
8-year-old Isaac. I think I wanted to be a zoologist, particularly in the study of koalas.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but
I like it.
okay,
yeah.
okay.
What about you?
I wanted to dig up dinosaurs. I was obsessed with Jurassic Park. Either that, or, I mean, 8 years old. I maybe still wanted to, like, thought I could be Batman, and like thought Batman was like a real thing that you could aspire to. So either Batman or paleontologist. Is that who studies dinosaurs?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
bones and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess to circle back on mine, by that I mean I thought I wanted to be part of the Utah Jazz. I thought being a basketball
Like a
player
pro
would have been simple.
You wanted to
basketball
be John
player.
Stockton. Yeah.
And literally that was the worst. I've never been worse at a sport. Baseball, golf, all this other stuff. I love it. Basketball was never my jam, yet I thought I was going to play for the Jazz.
That's why it was a dream, man.
We do always want to be what we can't be. You know, actors want to be musicians want to be actors, 8-year-old kids want to be Batman. So last year, in addition to celebrating 25 years, Sockeye bought an old trolley and added it to your Fairview location. Is that right?
That's a fact. So we've actually owned the trolley for a lot longer than that. Our owners are real estate developers. And years ago, an old trolley bar off the bench here in Idaho. So give or take, for the people not from Idaho or not from Boise, say a 10-mile drive from where our brewery is. Someone threw a Molotov cocktail into it, lit it on fire, and the whole thing just got destroyed. Well,
That's aggressive.
I don't know the actual. Yeah, I don't know the actual retail price or what we paid, like the sticker price, but it was $1,000, $2,000, something super minor. Purchased the trolley, and they completely redid it. For those interested in looking at what that project turned into 10 years later or 12 years later, however long that is, go to sockeyebrew.com. Under private events, you can see pictures of the trolley. It's easily one of the most gorgeous private event spaces. I wish it was bigger. We can only fit 20, 25 people max. But it's cool for retirement parties, birthday parties, just little beer gatherings. We've done beer dinners in there where we pair beer with our dishes our chef comes up with. It's easily the most unique venue that I've come across.
Yeah, looking at pictures of it was really cool. And I saw pictures of it burnt out, but maybe I didn't read the article well enough, but I did not see that it was burnt out by a Molotov cocktail. That is the craziest detail.
I may be embellishing a little bit, but
no, don't.
It was definitely
cut that.
It was definitely an arson fire though. I don't know if it was a regular. I don't know the whole backstory, but it's kind of devastating because this
kids
bar
smoking on the inside.
Yeah, right. Like lighting cigarette matchboxes and throwing them. But yeah, it was a staple here in the community, and so when it burned down, it was a major disaster for some of the people who enjoyed that little spot. It was just this neighborhood pub. So for us to pick it up, do it, and in my opinion, we did it right. Like I say, our owners had a vision for it to become kind of the relic that the old trolley used to be, and they did a really good job. It turned out beautifully.
I'd love to hear that. In addition to being the long history of the brewery, what does it mean to Sockeye to really be the largest brewery and one of the largest breweries in Idaho? That's some pretty big shoes.
It is. We've had our share of ups and downs from that. Distribution, it's a lot like watching how sausage is made. It's not glamorous, some of that stuff, but over the years, Sockeye being 25 years, we didn't really start canning or doing anything till about 2012, and focusing on true distribution. So a lot of the growth has happened within the last 10 years. So within 10 years, we've managed to grow from brewing, not exclusively for our pub, but mostly, to statewide distribution. Here in Idaho, we distribute into Washington, Oregon, and Montana, and a few states coming as well. So it means a lot to us seeing our brand resonate in other states. I'll tell you, like Sockeye, it seems like it's a very Northwest inspired brand. If you look through our branding, it's very Idaho. Everything is Lonesome Larry. Dagger Falls is named after a landmark in Idaho. So to go, say, to a Montana and have people resonate with our brand and try the liquid and know the liquid's good, that means a lot to all of us.
Yeah. Do you guys have do you have the unique one-offs that you do, or is it more so, like you here on the East Coast, a traditional sort of brew pub you're going to have, and and I'm not going to steal Brian's thunder because we're going to get into it in a second, but we've got an amber ale, we've got a pilsner. It's like the traditional like brew pub lineup. You got your pilsner, you got your pale ale, you've got your amber, you've got your stout, and that's kind of it. Is that what your model is like, or do you have other things?
We kind of have a blended model, with the brew pub. We have the brew pub exclusives. We have a small pub system. So the system that 100% of Sockeye's beer, it's a 7-barrel system. So 210 gallons at a time. That original brew system still exists in our brewery. So we're still able to brew small batch stuff.
Nice. That's
a lot of fun outside of maybe what pays the bills. Dagger Falls, our IPA, which I know we're not tasting today, that's 60 to 65% of our sales. It's the best selling IPA in Idaho. Wow. So that's going through our 40-barrel brew house regularly, sometimes 3 times a day, just to fill the tanks. But a lot of our brewers enjoy the fact that we have that small batch system where we can just crank out weird stuff, barrel aged sours. My favorite, we just released my kind of anniversary beer, Cardon, my French Saison. There's not a lot of Saisons around the area, so
awesome.
It's one of those things, like it's a lot of fun to do that, and I appreciate that Sockeye made the effort to keep the old brew house and kind of the history, but also the flexibility that brew house brings us.
Here at Brews Less Travel, we love a guest with a beer named after them. Shout out to Al Pills from Kettle House in Montana. You are our second guest in like 2 months to have a beer, an iconic beer, like not even just a good beer named after them. Cardon, my French, that's like top tier beer name. Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm known around the brewery as, I wouldn't say known as this specifically, but I've got the mouth of a sailor. So the pardon my French situation, and my last name just being Cardon, it just fit. And Cardon's a French name, like nothing could have fit better. So it was this perfect storm to brew a French Saison and do it right.
We also love a good pun. So
who doesn't? If you don't like puns and you like beer, they're hand in hand.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can go kick rocks. Let's take a beer break and talk about nuclear power. Did you know that the first nuclear reactor in the world is located in Idaho? The Experimental Breeder Reactor number 1, or EBR-1 for short, was powered up in 1951 as a test to see if electricity from a nuclear reaction could be used as a power source. The experiment worked, with EBR-1 powering 4 light bulbs and paving the way for numerous reactors to pop up all over the world in the 1960s. EBR-1 also proved the concept of breeding fuel, the idea that a reactor could create more energy than it consumes. EBR-1 continued to burn for over a decade, being used for numerous experiments. Located about 200 miles east of Boise, the site of EBR-1 is now a nuclear museum, where visitors can see 4 different nuclear reactors and learn about the various experiments performed on the site. Now, let's get back to the show. Let's get into our second beer. You mentioned Dagger Falls, best-selling IPA, best-selling craft beer in all of Idaho. And to continue that theme, a lot of your beers are named for like iconic landmarks in Idaho. So what can you tell us about Angel's Perch?
So Angel's Perch is named after, again, a landmark here in Idaho. Angel's Perch, though, it's kind of your run-of-the-mill amber, and we're proud of that part of it. It's interesting. It's kind of the little beer that could. Right now, it's trending as our third best-selling beer, outside of Lonesome Larry being our second. And it's kind of the beer that years ago, I won't name names, but there's a few amber ales out there that are just kind of staples. Like, hey, you always go back to them, a solid amber. So this amber is no different. 4.5%, 15 IBUs. Nice crystal malt. You kind of got that caramely, toffee characteristic to it. Magnum and crystal hops, so kind of unassuming, slightly spicy hops. Not a lot of them added to it, so most of it's just letting that crystal malt shine. But again, this is beer for beer's sake. I always tell people this is like if you were to pick up your dad's beer growing up, this is what your dad's beer tasted like if you were a kid and you accidentally took a swig of it thinking it was your soda or something. Like, it's just good beer, nice and clean finish. And like I said, it's the little beer that could for us.
Yeah, nailed it.
This is like perfect example of an amber ale. It's not, amber ales are never going to be something that like as people are going to the beer that people are going to write home about, say so to speak. But when you do an amber ale that is this well done with no even signs of any hint of an off flavor or fermentation that got too warm or pitching rates that are out of sorts, this is an extremely well brewed beer.
Yep. No, and like I said, this is one of our older recipes. It's been around with Sockeye forever. And as you can imagine, 25, 26 years ago, ambers were kind of that was your dad's beer, so to speak. Like, no one was drinking hoppy IPAs. So again, not to name names, but some of those national brands, this was when Idaho and Boise were going for a local version of those national brands at the time. This was the good alternative, and it's just stuck. Like, again, we don't push this beer all that well as far as like, we're not doing these massive marketing campaigns or anything like that. But, we take it to an event, pour it off the side of our beer van. Someone just looking for a good beer on a hot day, this is great because it appeases those people looking for something dark, but also doesn't have that heavy body. So it works great.
I'm just going to throw it out there. We've got 2 patio pounders today.
Is that just what we do here at Sockeye?
Maybe.
You're the patio. Yeah, you're the patio pounder
pounders.
People. We'll continue that alliteration. Let's keep
PPP.
building on that. You're the
right.
perfect patio pounder people. And then the name Angel's Perch. It's a peak in the mountains east of Boise,
Yes.
right?
East of Boise in the Sawtooth Mountains. A lot of our names are kind of derived from, we have this old book. It's like the Bible of the Sawtooths. Everything that Idaho is known for, and we probably exacerbated and uses too many of those landmark names on some of our beers. That's just me as the marketing guy. I'm like, let's branch out. But when we are 95% of our sales are through the state of Idaho, it's a good connection to have. Anywhere we sell. We also have another beer. I know we're not tasting this, Horse Thief Hazy. It's named after Horse Thief Reservoir, which is just north of Boise. And because of that whole connection, like everyone around Horse Thief Reservoir, that's one of their favorite beers by default. So we kind of have these little segments that just work really nicely for us.
Heck yeah.
Not like that one horse thief, Bill. It's just called Bill.
Bill.
Yeah. No, actually.
Come on, Isaac, Henry, get with the alliteration.
The alliteration.
My dude, come on.
I'm just sitting here the entire time, and you're like, Angel's Perch. And I was sitting here, maybe it's my dyslexia, which I don't have up until now. But I was like, Angler's Perch. What an awesome fishing spot. So
it fits. Hey, that fits better. I'll tell you, prior to our rebrand in 2020 or 2021, sorry, last year when we rebranded, our older font said Angel's Perch, but it looked like it said Angel's Peach. So I had every single event I'd bring this beer to, I had to explain to them, Angel's Perch, there's no peach in the beer, and it became frustrating. So when we rebranded, Angel's Perch was actually like, okay, spell it with the font. I need to look at it. If it looks wrong, we're not using that font. Like that was a big sticking point for us.
It was the litmus test for the font.
Exactly.
Tyson says we're not allowed to use Comic Sans anymore, guys.
Exactly. Comic Sans, just do it. Type it out. It looks terrible.
That's right. It's Helvetica only from here on out.
Font talk.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's fun talk. So most, if not all, your beers are made with Idaho ingredients. So what's it like to be so close to your raw material producers?
It's exciting. You know, the grain, we don't get a ton of, you know, we're not just driving out looking through the fields of grain, but you could drive by them. They're all over Idaho. One of my favorite things actually coming up is fresh hop season, and we're 45 minutes from the source. We're able to actually off the vine, they strip them, they do everything they're supposed to, take them down the conveyor belts, and we're able to sit there with trash bags and just get pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of fresh hops.
So cool.
And they are just disgustingly wet, sticky. You know, I've seen people who are allergic that just get rashes all over their arms, and they're just stoked because they take these trash bags back, and within 45 minutes it's in the kettle. Either or that or a hop back or something like that, and we're able to make fresh hop beer. So that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And it's wild. Like, I know there's some pockets around the United States that have access to that, but we're just very fortunate to live that close to some of the coolest places that are developing hops.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, there's a hop grower. There's a couple hop growers around here, but I think what was the stats that we had Brock Obendorf on 2 episodes ago, and
I know Brock well.
You should probably check on him. There's giant bugs on his farm.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does.
I think when I checked, there was 12,000 acres of hops harvested in Idaho last year. There literally is no other state like that other than Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. So I think I think you're kind of underselling the closeness that you have to that hop production. And I mean, especially now that Idaho is making such a name for themselves in hop growing.
Once we got, so we're the #1 barley producing state, and we're the #2 because a couple of years ago we surpassed Oregon in hop production. So to be the #2 hop production state, it's pretty cool. You know, a lot of them, they kind of have their varieties, you know, the Cascades, the Chinooks, the hops that everyone kind of knows the name of. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Idaho 7. That was when Idaho 7 got released. I think Sierra Nevada did a beer. We added it to some dry hopping on our Dagger Falls. It's a hop that was just such a versatile, unique hop, and it's named after Idaho. It was like right at that time was when we surpassed Oregon and we became #2. So it was like just like everything aligned and made like kind of put Idaho on the map for a hop growing state.
Yeah, and I mean it's continued. Idaho Gem is making noise, and I think with the contracts that are going to Idaho hop farmers now, they're brewing all the hits too, the Simcoes, the CTZs, the Amarillo. Like it's really great to see another state get involved with that, because you know Washington almost has the market cornered, 72% or 75% of all the hops or something.
We're coming up on them, but we're a little guy.
Yeah, you'll get them. You'll get them.
I just want to bring up, when I asked about raw ingredients and like being so close to them, like one of the first things that you mentioned, you're like, it's awesome. There's these guys that are just like totally allergic to hops, and they go out there and just fill trash bags up and take them home. That's like those people that like are allergic to you know, crustaceans, and they just eat shrimp outside the ER, like getting ready for just like, I'm going to go in, but I'm not going to miss this Red Lobster experience.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, so shout out to Debbie from Alpha Hops. She's one of our suppliers, and she supplies a bunch of breweries from around here. She gets hop oils from Montana. She's really intertwined. She's actually why I know Brock Obendorf and the Obendorf farm people. Debbie, she's incredible, but she is so allergic to hops. So we have a fresh hop festival put on by another brewery around here where everyone brings their fresh hop beers. It's a really cool beer festival. And she does hop crowns. So she'll cut down the vines and make crowns for people. And it's all fun and games. By the end of it, she's just swollen. And I'm like, Debbie, what are you doing to yourself?
Why are you doing this to? Yeah.
It sounds terrible. Like, I love you to death. Please don't do this to yourself anymore. It's terrible.
And she's like,
But
I
yeah,
love it too much.
People just dig it. Like, it's awesome. And I love that. Like, the spirit of it is just, it's very cool.
That's awesome. That's not beer.
It is not. You got to mix in some waters, bud.
That's right. I got my bubbly over here.
As one should. Good choice.
Mhm. Isaac, you're next.
Mm. Okay, sorry about that. I was just sitting here enjoying this patio pounder.
Patio pounder.
Yeah, well, speaking of enjoying the patio and enjoying some good like old day drinking beers, I'm a huge fan of smoked meat products. And I have to know more about the Boise Bacon and Beer Festival. I hear it's coming back this year for the first time in a long time, and I want to be assured that you are going.
Yes, pre-pandemic, it's actually back. It's Idaho's largest bacon and beer themed festival. Everyone gets at least 1.5 pounds worth of bacon inspired dishes.
I have to cut in. You say that like there are multiple bacon festivals.
I'm the marketing guy. I can spin it how I want, right?
sorry.
You caught me. All of my marketing, everything it's Idaho's largest. So you're the first person to ever call it out. That was great.
I'm sorry. It's not the way to treat a guest. I just threw you right under the bus there.
Yeah, but now there's going to be at least 2.
And we'll be the biggest.
That's right.
But we work with Shamrock Foods, so one of the food providers here. They're amazing. They donate grocery credit to all the restaurants that are participating. So everyone basically gets their grocery bill covered to make the dish. Daly's Bacon donates the bacon. So we have a lot of really like deep connections with this, which allows us to donate a large amount of the proceeds to a local nonprofit that's culinary inspired. It's Create Common Good is the name of the organization. And they basically just train people with skills, maybe people who are underserved or don't have the ability, like, they've been through the justice system, incarcerated, anything like that. They teach them good skills on how to use a knife, how to prep stuff and everything. So they have marketable skills to take out and go work in restaurants like ours or anything around the valley and get a good paying job. So we're pretty proud of this event. That's the feel good aspect of it. But at the end of the day, it's bacon and beer, which is just awesome. So this is my third year putting it on, and it's grown every year, which is awesome.
I love that. I also have a question about the amount of salmon that you guys serve at Sockeye. Do you do smoked salmon? Do you have salmon on the menu? Is it just ironic and you like there's not a fish to be seen?
It's interesting. I was notified probably 3 weeks ago that we are one of the largest sockeye salmon purveyors, like that buys salmon and cooks salmon in the Northwest, which if you can imagine, the Northwest just goes through a lot of salmon. So to be on the list of like the top, I don't know where that falls, if it's top 5, top 3, something like that. But to be at the top of that list is just absurd to be in that. So yeah, we have salmon tacos. We have a salmon salad. We have a salmon dinner. We have salmon. The salmon club's probably my favorite thing on the entire menu.
All right.
Club sandwich with salmon. But yeah, we actually sell more salmon than just about every restaurant in the Northwest.
So why'd you let marketing director Tyson just disappear? You should be the ` purveyor of sockeye salmon in the Southwest.
I know. Go ahead.
I just had a dumb comment to make, so I'm sure what anyone else was going to say other than me was going to be more important.
No, it is interesting. Like I said, being named Sockeye, I guess that's something we should, as the marketing guy, I should pin to our. It's like hashtag drink like a fish, hashtag we sell more salmon than you, or something. I don't know.
Love it. So been in business for 25 years. largest distributing brewery in Idaho, selling Idaho beer to Idaho people. And you recently announced an expansion to a second location. And it caught my eye because it's the first tap room I've seen with a putt-putt course inside of it. This sounds like a really exciting new chapter for Sockeye, but the putt-putt course, explain yourselves.
So the building's 12,000 square feet, give or take. So a large part of that is just going to be a very high-end brewery restaurant. We are not going to brew beer at this restaurant. It just doesn't make sense. We brew enough beer where we are and have capacity. So it's going to be a nice high-end brewery, kind of gastro pub, so to speak. The building is kind of built interestingly, where it's got a rotunda, like a very round area that's large. It's going to be a dining area. One side is going to be the bar dining area with a big patio. And then on one side, it's got kind of a room we could have used for weddings. We could have used for, I don't know, any kind of special event. Because of the nature of the space, we're like, we should do something cool with this. And as we were talking, there's a golf course up the road from where this location is. So we decided, why not do something golf related? I'm a big golfer, so maybe I had something to do with this. I don't know. I like to think I did. And we had Putt Tech, which is a national company that designs backyard mini golf courses, things like that. So the idea is not to put a mini golf course that's all gimmicky. It's actually going to be very high class, 9-hole putting course. So my plan is to run leagues, have people do competitions, hole-in-one competitions. It's going to be kind of wild.
Yeah, just for our streamers watching at home.
So that's the rotunda at the top right there.
Yeah, looks the renderings make it look like an awesome place. This I'm gonna have to get out to Boise just to try this.
That top picture from Putt Tech is the closest that I can describe, because we have a lot of windows that look a lot like that. I have other renderings that have since come since I put out this press release, but that's got to be the closest to what you can probably expect with what our layout's going to look like.
It's a lot of glass to be next to golf balls.
Oh yeah, inevitably, like that's a terrible idea. Luckily, we have a little bit of a wainscot that comes up. Like, I don't know, but inevitably, you mix alcohol and
you're like, here's some beers, a golf club, and golf balls, and a house of mirrors. Have fun.
Exactly, and better yet, those people from the golf course up the road, they do league. They come down to have a couple extra drinks. It's just not going to end well, but we'll see.
Well, I was going to ask what you said. You actually used the phrase "classy putt putt," and I was going to ask what that meant, but then I saw the photos and I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Yeah. I am. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the intent was, like I said, not to be gimmicky with it, and we were going to build it out ourselves and do kind of a gimmicky, like, oh, it's cool, it's got this and that and the other. And then when we reached out to Putt Tech, given it's a lot more money to build it out this way, but we wanted it to be legit, or at least the golfer in me wanted it to be legit.
It makes sense with me. I'm going on vacation next week after we record our next episode, and I'm going to the world home of not classy putt-putt courses, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I will be back with a full report on what is a gimmicky golf course, which I'm very excited to go to, but I very much respect like trying to like put the money in and like let's give people a challenge. Let's give something more than just like, hey, look, we got a pinwheel inside of the brewery.
Yeah, there's totally a windmill. There's totally going to be a windmill.
Windmill, not a pinwheel.
Yeah, that's right.
Trust me, my wife is actually kind of bummed because she like North Shore Tahoe has a bunch of gimmicky ones too. Here, like that's just a destination we go to a bunch, and my wife's like, "You're not going to have all that stuff," and I'm like, "No." Like, so there's a lot of people probably expecting it. So we'll see how that works out.
So Tyson, we know that potatoes are good for, in my opinion, two things. One is French fries and the other one is vodka. But when people find out that from outside of Idaho that you work at a brewery, how often in Idaho, how often do they ask if you brew a potato beer?
85% of the time.
It's
It's
a
not-
lot
it's not
higher than I
everywhere.
thought.
Yeah, it's not every time, but and to be honest, I don't know if Sockeye ever has. There's
You- yeah,
there's
you
another
can, right?
local brewery that does, and it's a pretty good beer. Like she's done well with it, but I don't think Sockeye has.
You
Like
don't
maybe
have
they're throwing a potato in the mash or something.
you don't have
but
a
that's
potato
about it.
lager?
No,
They're like,
I mean, I imagine you could figure it out, but might be pretty thin. Not a lot of body to it.
Hopefully your brewers never hear this episode.
Oh, I
they're
know.
like, there's too much salinity in this beer. Throw a couple potatoes in there. It's like they're making a tomato sauce.
A nice marinara IPA.
Can you give a shout out to the brewery that does make a potato beer that you
Yeah,
know about?
Bear Island.
Bear Island.
Yeah, Bear Island Brewing here in Boise, Idaho. Beth, she was kind of the visionary behind that. She's awesome. I also live walking distance to her brewery, so I spend an inordinate amount of time at her brewery. So
Being walking distance from a brewery is awesome and dangerous.
yes,
That's right. Yeah. Where your reputation precedes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
learn
Your
when
local
to
brewery.
leave.
So Boise has a lot to offer in terms of like outdoor activities. What's your favorite thing to do in Boise outside of beer?
You know, I'm a kayaker. I have since the pandemic had twin boys, so it's taken me off the water quite a bit. But I'm a big kayaker and a big skier. So depending on the season, that's where you'll find me.
Wins. How early into or how late into the pandemic?
7 days after lockdown, so August or April.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's May 8th or 8 days, I guess. So it's kind of
Oh.
wild.
I had
Yeah.
I had a daughter on April 4th, so
You know,
Very close.
it was wild, but yeah, identical twin boys. It definitely has been life changing, but in a good way, as you can imagine.
Would you say that's you getting your comeuppance?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. You nailed it.
Yeah. No kids over here, but I constantly worry about it.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things. It keeps you up at night.
That's right.
If you don't have them, and it keeps you up when you do have them. Like whatever.
are you a casual paddler? You got like a
Casual, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my buddy and I, who started another brewery here in town, we used to be big paddlers together. We're just getting older and fat. Like this does it, you know.
That's what happens when you drink potato beers all week long.
Surprisingly, just because you're fat doesn't mean you're actually more buoyant. You sink easier, so it is what it is.
Yeah, leave the short 4-foot boat at home and
Yep.
get yourself a nice 9-11 footer and
Exactly.
through
Like
the
I'm a lake kayaker now. Like I don't do the river things anymore.
that's a
Yeah.
smart decision.
Right?
Absolutely. So being in Boise, what is the one thing that you wish it was well more known for?
That's a really tough question because we have a lot of people moving here. You're almost like, I want to do the opposite. Like, hey, stop moving here for a minute.
You wish people didn't know it existed.
Yeah, like stop moving. You know, the thing about Boise that's really cool, in my opinion, I can't go anywhere, and maybe this is a testament. If it keeps growing, maybe this is wrong, but I can't go anywhere without knowing someone. Given the industry, the beer industry is very conducive to that. You know, you go out to lunch, you go out to dinner with your family, you know the buyer, or you know someone who you've worked with throughout the industry, but everyone's very well connected here. If you're part of a community or part of like a segment of a community, the community here, say you're into the beer scene or you're into whatever, Boise takes care of their own. It's got a very good camaraderie between the citizens living here. And I personally, that's my favorite thing about Boise. That's why I don't want more people moving here, maybe, because it makes it easy, but it's just, you feel like you're part of something bigger. You know, I've thought about moving to bigger cities with my wife and we've talked about it, but at the end of the day, I think feeling like you're part of something in Boise is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So thanks thanks again for joining us, Tyson. Can you again tell us where people can find Sockeye? Where do you distribute?
Yep. Sockeye distributes statewide in Idaho. So just about anywhere you can find beer, you can find Sockeye. Outside of that, Montana, Oregon, and Washington. And then expanded plans to go to a few other states, Alaska, further into Washington, and then Colorado as well. So some big things in the works. So look out for us. We're kind of making waves.
Awesome.
Those are some awesome places to be selling beer, and all of those states are really cool. I can't attest to Alaska. Heard good things, but
I'm interested. You know, I get to take some trips up there if we start distribution up there. So I'll see what it's like. Maybe that's selfishly, like, it's exciting.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, you get to take a little a plane and land on the water, and then go in and do your sales calls.
Exactly. It
Just
sounds
wanna
way
be
cooler than just driving.
Throw in some places that you'd like to go to. Like, yeah, we're going to be in Miami soon, Florida.
Yeah. Where are you guys located? Pennsylvania or
Pennsylvania, I'm in
Northeast?
MC. Yeah.
Yeah, come on over. We would love to have you. So thank you again. Thanks for joining us, Tyson.
No, thanks for having us. Like I said, that I could talk probably for another hour, but I won't keep you too long.
I am out of beer, so I have to go get more beer if I'm going to do
Right.
I was going to say anything tonight. That really makes me sound like an alcoholic. I'm going to retract that statement. Let's pull that back.
Laura's going to have a lot of edits on this one.
Yeah, Laura, cut that. Thank you, Isaac, for making it back across the border and joining me for another episode.
Always surprised when I do it.
You can find more from Sockeye at sockeyebrew.com. Thanks again for these great beers. Have you been thinking, I really enjoy this podcast and these episodes? Well, you can support us by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to take your support to the next level, you can join the beer club at brewvana.com. Get great local beers like these from our featured Uncharted Beer Scene City shipped to you, and then join us for weekly tastings and talks. I should have had a good alliteration there if I was really on top of things. And join us for weekly tasty talks. You can also follow us on social media at BrewVana. We'll be back next week with our next awesome Boise brewery, another legend in the Idaho beer game, Payette Brewing Company. But until then, stay safe, be kind, and support local breweries. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Thanks, Brian. Cheers.
Woo! Thanks for watching Brews Less Traveled on YouTube. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interviews with brewery professionals.